Hello everyone and welcome back to Destiny. It is a pretty big week for the game. We are in the final week of Season 1 and the final week of Vanilla, which is the game before any major patches or updates. And of course, this is the week where we're going to be learning a lot more about the reasons we're going to be continuing to play this game. That includes things like quality of life changes, improvements to the reward system and to the endgame in general. We still don't have all the details on how we're getting all that information this week. Of course, if you're up to date with all that's going on today, we know that third stream has been cancelled, and in its place is going to be a blog post directly from Bungie leadership going over all of the community issues right now. And we'll touch more on that a little bit later in this video, but first we're going to go over the weekly activities and what you can do to get those powerful engrams for this final week of Season 1. Let's jump into it. Alright, so I just wanted to start with an extended look at our current destination director. This, of course, is getting a bit of a facelift next week with the release of Curse of Osiris. We're going to have Mercury as a destination. We also saw the Almighty as a destination. I'm not really sure if that's going to make it in the final or if it was maybe because of some like test progression or something. And then of course we're going to have the Nessus Orbit becoming sort of like a destination where you can dive into one more screen and access those raid layers. And just to keep in mind, the raid layer will not be launching with Curse of Osiris, it's going to be a week later, but you can expect it to be grayed out. But anyways, moving on to the weekly milestones, we have the Flashpoint on the EDZ, and then we have the Clan XP. And again, it's going to be our final opportunity to reach maximum level and get that Season 1 clan staff. Moving on, we have the Nightfall, Leviathan completion, and the Call to Arms as your sources for powerful gear. The cool thing about Season 2 is that there seems to be some additional sources of powerful gear coming into the mix, but at this point it looks like we just have to wait until next week to find out for ourselves. Focusing on the Nightfall, we have, again, Savathun's Song with Momentum and Anomalies. This is very strange for it to be repeated yet again. Basically, you have to sprint to get shield regeneration, and then you have to look out for those anomalies to extend your timer. Aside from that, this is our final week to take advantage of some of the things that are in the tower, namely things at the Eververse Trading Company, which is going to be refreshed for Season 2. If my memory serves, the entire stock of Eververse is going to be completely refreshed, so this is your final opportunity to get things like exotic emotes. I can't remember if they talked about exotic ornaments being refreshed, maybe they just haven't touched on that yet, but you can go ahead and pick up the ones for Merciless and Sunshot while you're here. This is also your final week to pick up the Optimacy set if you're missing anything. We have the legs available for direct purchase, but aside from that, you'll have to rely on the luck of bright engrams. Next up, we have the treasure maps from Cade. They're not really worth the money in my opinion, but sometimes you'll get lucky and get something kind of cool from it, like a faction weapon or something like that. So I guess if you have the Glimmer, might as well go ahead and pick these up. And that brings us to the end of the weekly activities. Again, this is the final week of Season 1 and the final week of the Vanilla release, so you're going to want to go ahead and sort of savor every moment that you can, for whatever that's worth. Anyways, moving on, of course, we had the breaking news earlier today where the third reveal stream for Curse of Osiris has been cancelled. Bungie does want to prioritize some of those pressing community issues, and unfortunately that information is not going to be on camera. It is going to be delivered to us through a pre-scripted and pre-prepared statement through the Bungie blog. Again, this was the statement that was put out by Deej. I went over it in much more detail in my video from earlier today, so I'll leave a link down below if you want to learn more about that. But in summary, I think we can expect a lot of information about not only what's coming in the next few weeks as far as fixes, but hopefully a bit more information about the long term of the game. We've been hearing sprinkles of their grand vision here and there throughout different interviews, and I think it's going to be good to finally get a cohesive look at all of this information in one place. There's going to be a lot of really interesting things that they're going to be discussing tomorrow, and of course you can expect that I'll be breaking all of that down right here on the channel. Of course, those topics that you can expect will include things like the reward system and the endgame, but the most pressing issue that has sort of reached a critical mass across the media now is the whole XP issue. If you're unfamiliar with the XP issue, I know I haven't really covered it on the channel. I don't really have, unfortunately, a whole lot of time during the weekend to make videos, but to catch everyone up, essentially Bungie has put out a quick, quiet server-side update to the way you get XP gains. It turns out that the indications on screen were perhaps not so honest on what exactly you were getting in XP. Bungie was scaling down XP given from certain events that can be chained together very quickly, and we're scaling up XP for events that maybe take a little bit more time, like strikes and raids. And while I personally don't mind XP scaling, I mean, it's not a new thing to video games, I don't like the fact that it was hidden from us, and Bungie, I feel, has a lot of explaining to do in this department. I think it's blown a little bit out of proportion. I wouldn't go as far as saying that it's lying to the community. I think it's just not going over all the details on something that maybe perhaps they didn't think would be that big of a deal. But of course, because it has to do directly with your rate of getting bright engrams, that's where it looks super fishy. So honestly, they've put themselves in a little bit of a pickle here. I can't really defend why they would hide that from players. Maybe it's something that they just overlooked. I really want to try to find the sort of positive assumptions here, but it's really hard to do so. Anyways, there's a good chance I'll be having a dedicated video on this topic a little bit later this week, once we have a bit more information from Bungie. Anyways, as you can tell, there's a lot going on this week in the world of Destiny. For your best way of keeping up to date, be sure to follow me on Twitter @FutureFoe. And of course, you can subscribe right here to the channel and turn on that notification bell so you'll know when I post. Aside from that, I do also stream on Twitch as much as I can over at twitch.tv/FutureFoe. Be sure to follow me there and come by and hang out, and we can talk more about this topic if you like. I love talking about this stuff with all my viewers, so definitely stop on by and say hello. Aside from that, go ahead and leave a comment telling me which topic of conversation you want Bungie to address this week the most. Let's discuss. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you all next time.